One of the issues a lot of people have when watching harem-type anime is how awkwardly unrealistic it is. A lot of times, the main character is just given everything for being nothing, and the least iconic and unique he is, the better. A lot of people speculate the reason why this is so you can superimpose yourself onto this character. If they have quirks that you might not, then you might disassociate with them. You may look at them as another rather than someone similar to me. And that's why most main protagonists have things that are uniformly accepted to be something that people would aspire themselves to have. Courage, the ability to stand up for those that they care about, etc. Things that a lot of us would like to think we have. Now that's good and fine. It kind of creates in men this perception of what you ought to be, but nevertheless, to outside sources who haven't grown up in this perspective, it comes across a little, what's the way to say it, much unrealistic, weird, wishful thinking. And even outside of the whole harem archetype, there is an absolute ad nauseum within the fantasy anime that are just constantly holier than thou. Everything is kind in this world. In comes Beast Tamer, a show that I seen clips of and thought, oh, this is going to be another one of these soft anime shows that are going to be fun to watch, but I don't know if they'd be for everyone just because they're a little too much. Yeah, like people, any outsider looking at this would just be like, oh, this is like a weird male fantasy weirdness, which is fine, that can happen. But if you've seen a ton of anime in this genre, isekai fantasy comes with the territory, you're gonna get harem, you might be exhausted by the unremarkable main character getting everything, right? And when I seen some clips of Beast Tamer, I thought the same thing. This is another anime to add to the list, but isn't something I need to get to right now, because I know what I'm gonna get. It's simply put just gonna be this main character eventually getting more and more summons or animal adjacent girls, whatever. Yeah, with the main protagonist never ever making a move, always being extraordinarily kind, helpful, and just crazy in that department. Never ever succumbing to any sort of evil, weirdness, or brutality. Always just holier than thou. Bang, bang, bang. Now that is totally a thing. Full stop. That's a thing. Yes, that is what the main character is that. But, and this is a big but, this show is saved, and I mean big time saved, by the cruelty of the hero's party. These people are so unlikable, so sinister, so absolutely grotesque and disgusting in a realistic sense. Power corrupts, basically, is the only thing that comes to mind, really. And how, right out the hop, they are just so arrogant, cruel, completely unworthy of the term, being heroic, or being these people who are supposed to liberate humanity from the demon lord, classic story for before. They saved the show, because the main character would just be like, everyone else is so goddamn nice and sweet and generous and caring and nurturing that you need something to counterbalance that. You need something that doesn't just make it so that like this world feels too sweet to the point where it's like, oh my god, it's nothing but happiness. I don't have any contrast, so with everything is happy, nothing kind of is. Anyways, we're gonna look too caught in the weeds. Beast Tamer is, first of all, an anime that just by the name of it already has a place. The fact that we haven't gotten animes about the summoner archetype, we're just getting animes kind of about the craftsman kind of thing. And yeah, we're finally getting one of the Beast Tamer, the Druid, the, well, not Druid, but those being the other classes that you can play with in video games that are sought after, desired, and enjoyed. We're finally getting some of those, which hats off to that, because actually I love the summon archetype. This is just an excuse to have a harem, but I'll take what I can get. So that's a sell in itself, but the main sell to me is also that the way they do the show is really clever. One of the ways they do this show is the main character was part of the hero's party. Very quickly, early on, he gets exiled. Really brutally, horrible way. They shit all over him, tell him that he was trash, not good enough, etc. And in this world, Beast Tamers are just considered to be a lower tier of whatever. The hero is the max class, best. The paladin is insane because they can heal and deal damage, all those things. And basically, the Beast Tamers are just considered to be decent. Good, not very perfect, kind of sub, if anything bad, okay? But because actually some substantial reasons, some foreshadowing of that the main character might actually have a past, that his normal was not everybody else's normal, which is a trope I quite enjoy. If you're surrounded by excellent people, and you're the least excellent outside of that, you're still excellent, which is crazy. As the story progressed, one of the things that's going to catch you and I think ensnare you, to play into some of the Beast Tamer things, is the fact that the main character can do things that other Beast Tamers can't. One of the things is most Beast Tamers can only tame one mouse or bird at a time. The main character can tame thousands because that's what he learned in his village, and that's about as much as we get in season 1, by the way. Not only that, but if you make a contract with a tier of beast, it will take up reserve HP or reserve magic or reserve taxation on your body. But very quickly, early on, the main character interacts and befriends a cat girl. Yes. Harem, yes. He ends up making a contract with her and doesn't feel a damn thing. He's absolutely fine and ready to rip, and that's kind of the trope that you start seeing as you go on, is that the main character is exceptional and the hero's party was just absolutely taking him for granted, didn't acknowledge how much of a god in terms of his power, skill, and rating he is. One of the things that he used to do for the hero's party is carry supplies to and from escort missions, which now without him, now that he was expelled from their party, they are literally falling apart. But oh boy, are they still so sinister, gross, and disgusting that, yeah, again, that contrast I think saves this show. Although I think people who enjoy the show, if you're like me, I actually enjoy the harem archetypes quite a lot, if only for the fact that we can actually see a bunch of different personality types on display. And it's also not just shitty, you know, sometimes it's frustrating when you see like a tomboy girl who's the enemy figure, who's just unreasonable and a bit, yeah, not great. Whereas instead you're like, no, tomboy person who's fantastic. Here's the shyer, quieter person, but it's still fantastic. Here's this person that's prideful but also very sweet. So like everyone loves that, I think, in shows outside of, I don't even know, because harem shows are the most asexual thing on the planet. The best you ever get is like hugs, kisses on the cheek, or awkwardly enough, really spit-filled kisses. Ugh. But the wholesomeness of people around you that care about you is always quite a bit sweet. Needless to say, who is Beast Tamer for? Well, I think if you like harem shows, this has you covered. If you like the power fantasy, this kind of has you covered in a fun way. I wish there was moments where it went more into him developing things. We just talked about an anime called Skeletonite, where they really have fun with his ability to teleport by letting him teleport through keyholes because it's line of sight. So as long as he's able to see something, he's able to teleport through it. So he looks through keyholes, teleport through. It's just fun. It's a fun exploration of that power. In this show, it does it a little bit in the beginning, and as things tend to go, it just kind of says, well, fuck it, we're a harem show, so here's going on like a weird date with tiny fairy things. Anyways, it's cute. It's still cute. If you like that stuff, you're gonna love it. I will say, the last 2 episodes where you see basically, it's a demon. If you think of like anime demon, a Frieza, gross looking thing is what we envision. It's the same. It's the same. They win. They figured out. Yeah. Anyways, I guess there's a reason why. So yeah, some of this stuff is tropey. Some of the stuff is pretty basic. Nothing's crazy here, but it's still something that's a nice show. And frankly, if we can get more seasons or even more shows that dip into other, I hope we get like a Beast Tamer or a Summoner anime that actually like gamifies the aspect of you like in like having spells that buff up your summons and how cleverly you can stack those on top of each other. And then like instead of the guy getting all of the loot, he specifically gives his summons crazy loot. Maybe you have some sort of gamification of the summon. Like if you summon a horde of zombies, maybe when every single one of them die, you still reclaim that energy and can then pop it into one of them, creating some sort of crazy giant mummy zombie that's like a gorilla, you know, something like that. I hope gets done in the future because that's something fun I think that could exist within summoning. Also, just being able to be like, hey, I summoned this like lady who's all into destruction magic. I also summoned this dude who is a melee berserker. I basically am the class that can dip into every class, but no, most I get is skeletons, and that's annoying, because come on. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is a show that most people could find some enjoyment out of. Granted, it is a little of that wishful thinking, holier than thou, kinder than magic kind of atmosphere, but it works, especially with a lot of the characters being interesting. That's a show. I would suggest it. I think you'd like it. Thank you kindly for your time. Hopefully I can see you again. I'll continue to talk about anime forever. Maybe consider subscribing if you can handle all that. Love you to bits, and goodbye.